Powered by Riverside FM.
Okay, so our next guest is part of one of the most stacked wide receiver rooms the Cleveland Browns has ever had. In his 9 years in the NFL, he amassed 411 receptions, 5,446 receiving yards, and 19 touchdowns. Boys, please help me welcome Reggie Langhorne. Hey, Reggie, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you find gentlemen today?
Doing good. We know, everybody's got busy schedules, so we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. And so before we get started and get to some of the questions that we have for you, we do want to talk about something here. You're going to be on the Browns fan cruise in March of 2024. It is confirmed. You and your buddies, Webster Slaughter, Kevin Mack, Eric Metcalf, you'll all be there. And so we have to say, being that we are a podcast that is brought to you by Seaside Events as the official cruise event provider of the Cleveland Browns and organizer of the Browns fan cruise, we will be on that Browns fan cruise and emceeing quite a few events on that Browns fan cruise. We're really looking forward to sharing that Browns fan cruise with a legend such as yourself. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about the Browns fan cruise?
Well, it looks like we're going to be going from the Bahamas all the way down to the Jamaica. What can you do more, have a better time than be with my friends that I play ball with, along with the folks that supported us and still supports the organization over years. I mean, Cleveland is still known for one of the largest fan base, but the enthusiasm of the Cleveland fans is going to be quite exciting to be able to go on the beach and get to meet people, have Q&As, and spend time with folks that have cheered for us pretty much for the last 38 years of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be a really, really good time. And I know we're going to get back to the Browns fan cruise a little bit later on. But for now, we want to talk about you. So, I know you were born in Virginia and went to Smithfield High School. Is that correct?
Ham City, baby.
Shout out to the hometown there. I like it.
Yeah, see, Smithfield Foods, the Ham City is what we're called. If you Google what is the Ham City or Ham capital of the world, it'll say Smithfield, Virginia.
Nice. The more you know. And then you ended up going to Elizabeth City State University, correct? That's a Division II school, right?
That's a D2 school down in North Carolina, what used to be the CIAA, Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association.
Nice. And so talk to us a little bit about your time in college. How was playing college football, especially D2? Were you just dominating everyone?
No, I mean, I came into college with 19 other freshmen in 1981, and I wasn't one of their top recruits. I had a few other scholarships to go to small colleges, but my high school coach was a Hall of Famer at Elizabeth City, so he and his wife persuaded me to go down to Elizabeth City and take a look at it. I was on my way to the military. I had already taken the test and about to take the physical, and my mother, my good friend Skip Gray, and then my high school coach said, listen, you have what it takes to play college ball, at least give it a try. So what I did was I listened to him and I said, you know what? We went down to Elizabeth City for a basketball game, and I saw a lot of folks that was interesting, that their college life looked interesting. So I said, okay, what the hell I got to lose? My mom said, you can go back in the military if you don't like college in a year. I got down there, and then towards the latter part of my freshman year, with all those guys that came in from higher recruit schools or larger schools, I ended up getting an opportunity to start a couple of games as a freshman. I became a full-time starter as a sophomore. And that's kind of how my career went as far as college. But I was not one of the guys that when they had their first meetings, I was in front of the pack, or I was going to be the guy that would. Heck, I even missed my first road trip. I remember getting to college and they said, man, you're going to smell them fumes if you don't catch that ball. Well, smelling the fumes is a bus that was going to Florida on a 16-hour drive. And my roommate and I, Dustin Brooks, we standing out there watching the bus leave to go to Florida on a Thursday night, and then we figured out what smelling the fumes really was.
All right. So, no, I mean, those are all fantastic stories, and it's awesome that you were able to work your way up onto the starting roster there. So was there a time frame, because obviously you ended up getting drafted by the Browns, which we'll talk about in just a minute, but was there a time frame either in your college playing career or even earlier that you or somebody else kind of saw, you have what it takes to be in the pros even?
I had a coach that said that to me when I was a junior in high school, that you have what it takes to play pro ball. But I had not met a professional player. I had not gone to a professional game, nor was I familiar with anything in professional football, nor was it an aspiration or any kind of desire for me. I come from a small town. I am the first to play pro ball in my community. We did have a girl that played some overseas basketball, but other than that, we were not in touch. We live in Virginia, which is southeast, a little north of North Carolina, and the closest team was the Redskins. I just was not familiar or even dreamed to do that. My junior year in college is when scouts from the USFL and the NFL started to come around. I had two teammates that both played corner. They were number 1 and 2, I believe, in the nation in interceptions. And so, therefore, scouts were coming to scout them. I would stay behind and run routes for them so the scouts could look at them. And then what ended up happening is they say, hey, man, you may get a chance to get drafted when you come out as a senior. So those scouts kept coming back. All the USFL teams were stealing players from all the other schools. It made the NFL scouts work extra hard. So my junior year was a big year. And after my junior year, I started seeing scouts coming looking for me. And it was kind of interesting because we could be going to Pizza Hut, and Pizza Hut was all you could eat pizza for $3. But I go eat 8-9 slices of pizza and get back on campus, and one of the guys would say, hey, man, there's a scout from Washington, or there's a scout from from Pittsburgh, want you to run a 40, and I just ate 9 slices of pizza. That ain't gonna go so well,
So basically, though, all you're saying is all you needed was that opportunity, and as soon as people saw you, they knew.
They knew more than I knew. Because even when I was playing in college ball, none of the guys around me could visualize playing pro ball. It just, everything was above us. We just didn't think that way. And we didn't watch the Clemsons, the Notre Dames, USC's, UCLA play. Because when we get done playing at 1 o'clock, it's 4 or 5 o'clock, we go to the caf, we get something to eat. Now it's 6, 7 o'clock, and we would do what college kids do. We get ready to do our own thing after we played. So I never even paid any attention to the competition in the college ranks. It just wasn't important to me in college. We did our own thing. And then when I got an opportunity to go to the combine in Mesa, Arizona, and a scout from the Redskins did come in and say, you're going to have an opportunity to go to the combine. Would you like to go? And I go, well, what's the combine? I had no clue what a combine was. And he says, well, it's where the top 336 college players go, and they do some, they talk to you, they get a physical and do some routes and things of that nature. I said, well, yeah, I don't mind going. Where is it? He says, Mesa, Arizona. And I go, well, my dad's not going to pay for that trip. So unless you got somebody that's going to do it, I'm not going to be able to make it. He goes, no, the Redskins are the closest team to you here in North Carolina. That means we will flip the bill. And then I told my old man that, who wasn't a big football guy, and he goes, what? The Redskins going to do what? And he couldn't believe it. Because again, you got to remember, when you're so far removed from stuff like that, you don't visualize playing pro ball, man. Those guys got to be the greatest things in the world. I mean, I've never even had spent time with a pro ball player. And all of a sudden, about 4 days later, they sent a package, the Redskins, to my parents' house. And it had travel bags and shirts and hats, and it had absolutely everything you could put in a care package. My old man goes, oh, boy, this is pretty cool. So I got on a plane, flew out to Mesa, Arizona. Excuse me. I met up with Ron Brown, who used to play for the Rams. We had the same representative as an agent, and he helped me learn to run the 40 because he was a track guy. He taught me how to get off the blocks to get out to run a fast 40. And this was when Al Toon and Jerry Rice, Bruce Smith, who was my friend from high school and college, that was all our draft pick. Vance Johnson, Randall Cunningham. And I get to the combine, and then I realized these guys are no different than me. Run fast, catch the rock. I'm reasonably intelligent. I didn't see any different than them. I was amazed. Actually, I was amazed at some of them that were horrible, but went to big school. Like, well, how the hell did he survive 4 years? He's not very good. But he played on Saturday nights, and I played at 1 o'clock on Saturdays, and we were done, and we played in front of, 2,000-3,000 kids? That was it for us.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's awesome. And the stories that we hear from this, like the combine and the Redskins paying for that and sending that care package, I mean, that's awesome. And people, obviously normal people that didn't go to a combine don't know what all that entails and what kind of comes with it. So that's pretty cool to hear about. And now, obviously, you did get drafted by the Browns in round 7 of that 1985 draft. And you played from the Browns from 85 to 91. So tell us a little bit about your time with Cleveland.
Well, when you're from a school like myself and you get to Cleveland, you really don't know what to expect. I remember walking in the locker room when I first got there, and there was this old man naked, dressing naked and just getting out of the shower. It looked like he was, 70, 75 years old. What I come to realize that was Big Daddy Carl Hairston. He was getting out the shower. I thought he was like a coach or somebody, but he was one of my teammates, and I knew of him because I remember he did the speech, athletic speech at my university because Johnny Walton had come on to be a coach at Elizabeth City, so I knew his face, but I didn't really know him. But yeah, it was all new to me. There was 19 receivers, I believe, that were in camp when I got there. There was a Willis, and there was a guy named Bruce Adams. I mean, there were some pretty good football players that were here. Bruce Davis that was here at Cleveland, and all I did was try and compete. All I did was my cousin tried to make things simple for me. He said, "Listen, run fast, break right, and catch the rock. You've been doing this all your life. Don't overthink it. All you can do is the best you can do." And when I realized that I made the team, I was amazed that I had made it because I dropped the ball the last preseason game against the Raiders. So I didn't even think that I was going to be on the football team. And lo and behold, Marty gave me a nice long talk about making the team and what was expected of me. And I took a lot of pride in having an opportunity to do it. And I amazed a whole group of people in Smithfield, Virginia, that I had actually made the team. And nevertheless, my next year I became a full-time starter. And then we were in the playoffs. We were playing an AFC championship game. They were amazed that I was hanging in there. Like, some folks had hoped I would do well, but they didn't think I could make it. And some have told me that over the years.
No, that's awesome, and just a great story all around. It's always nice to hear about like small town. I mean, at least it sounds like it was a small town, but small town kids coming up, and really proving themselves and kind of breaking through for their whole town, basically.
Yeah, and have success like that. Yeah. You mentioned that when you were in college, you really didn't kind of care so much about even the opponents. It was more just about going out and grinding and working as hard as you possibly could. So was that a bit of culture shock when you got to the NFL in terms of like practices and watching film and just all the things that go around like your day-to-day as a pro athlete?
So long when I started playing football, how I had a cousin that was 3 or 4 years older than me. I followed him around everywhere he went from the time I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And every time we would go play, I always played against larger kids because he's 3 years older than me. So he goes where his buddies are. And that means I was getting pretty much bullied around, and he would yell at me. And then when I say yell at me, not in a harmful way, but to don't be afraid to get in front of somebody and play defense. Don't be afraid to shoot. Don't be afraid to tackle. All those things. So every time I went back to my hometown, my little neighborhood I grew up in, guys that were my age, I was getting better than they were. They were staying in the same place. My cousin he's the best athlete in my family. I still believe that today. So once I got on the football field and strapped up my shoes, all I could do was the best I could do. And I always pushed myself. It's one of those things about not getting hurt in training camp or pulling hamstrings and all that. I could go as hard as I could with what I thought was good training and what they required of me, but I went as far as I could. I ran as hard as I could till there was nothing left, so that when I got to camp, I was ready to roll. I just didn't want to be behind the 8 ball because I came out of school behind the 8 ball, so I had to work extra hard. But then I found out a lot about myself, and that's one of those things I tell young people today. Even though you think you've done all you can do, there's always some more in the trunk. And if you get that stuff in the trunk done now, you get in the fourth quarter or a playoff game, or if you get in a big-time game in college, you've got more than the rest of the guys got because you already tested yourself. And you'll know how to perform in those battles. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to always be digging in a little hard. I just felt that way. I just felt like, I did everything they said to do. But, it's like my old man telling me to cut grass. I know how to cut grass fast, and I know how to cut grass properly. I can do the job, but do I cut it right? And there was a difference. Right. Same thing with my training.
So personally, do you feel like looking at today's NFL, especially like the preseason and the way that they've kind of shortened practices and things, do you feel like the guys that are coming out, for week one of modern football today are not as prepared as the teams that you guys played on because you guys did go so hard during practice and at all times there?
I think that's a lot of reasons for the injuries. I think that the less contact is obviously helpful for guys. I got guys that I played against that have harmed themselves, killed themselves because of the CTE stuff, and it is real. So I think the less stress on guys' brains is very good. The unfortunate thing is you can't go from dilly-dallying around in training camp to going full tilt opening day and going cracking heads. I mean, it's a tempo that goes along with the gradual incline to prepare for opening day. We have a lot of injuries in the NFL now, and it seemed to be minor stuff. But, we went full pads 2-a-days for the first 2 weeks of training camp with Marty Schottenheimer. We pretty much went full pads the entire training camp. It was what it was. But I don't think we had as many injuries, and then we were all strong and ready to go during the season. But, things change. The money's that's made these days, you got to protect your investment. And I think that's the way it is all through life. I mean, look at us now. We're doing an interview with I can see you guys from where you are, and I'm in my home, and we're having a conversation. When I was a kid, you had one phone in the house, and I'm talking about I grew up when if you got 2 rings, it was your phone. 1 ring was the neighbor's house, and the one long ring was the other neighbor's house. So, things have changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is with those changes, just the game in general, just everything about it, like you said, from the number of injuries to the types of practice to just everything. And it is pretty crazy to look at. One thing I want to ask you, spending time with a franchise, obviously it's more than just playing football for that team. You kind of become a family. You become close friends with some of your teammates. You get involved with the community off the field. So with that in mind, is there a favorite off the field memory that you have from your time in Cleveland?
Well, that's a lot. There's a lot of good times. I mean,
You've already named a few, and they've been great.
I ran around with Webster and Metcalf and Herman Fontenot, so I've had some pretty good moments. Kevin Mack and I even now play golf once or twice a week together. Felix Wright and I do the sideline with the uniform inspectors. Felix has been doing it 23 years. This is my 9th season. So I am still friends with the guys that I play ball with. I'm the guy that drives Bernie down when he has trips down to Columbus. So that's my quarterback and half of the guys I know here in Cleveland. A lot of us come from small towns, and when we got here, we loved it so much that we made it home. And it's a tribute to the fans of Cleveland, to the people of Cleveland, that guys like me are still here, still participating in the community, helping out with charity work or just being involved in what's going on in Cleveland.
That's awesome. And you mentioned in that in everything you just said right now, you mentioned Kevin Mack. We hear you have a particularly good story about Kevin Mack. Do you know which one we're talking about right now?
No. Oh, the one with which one?
Go ahead.
So
it involves a fishing trip.
Oh, when K-Mac stayed sick the whole day.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. You know what? I got that. No, that's a good story where he got sick. But that's where all of us hanging out a little bit at night. He hadn't been on the boat in a long time, so I understand. But then there's another one, and this is probably one that folks don't know a lot about, but it was real for us that played ball with him. I remember him getting all of his teeth knocked out, his front teeth knocked out, and we were playing in the playoffs, and he wanted to come out, and they didn't want him to come out, so he pretty much had to keep his mouthpiece in his mouth the entire game. He couldn't take it out because if he did, his teeth would come out.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
Took him straight to the dentist. After the game, he went straight to the dentist and they had to figure out how to keep his teeth in his mouth. So those are one of those stories that we laugh about because all of the blood on his face and just the battles that we had together as teammates. But then the courage that it takes to do what he was doing to be able to still play. Today's world, maybe that guy doesn't play the way we did back then. I mean, so you have a lot of respect for guys that you've known for 30-some years, and you've seen them in their highs and you've seen them in their lows. and you respect each other. So that's my other Kevin Mack story.
No, that's a fantastic story. And I will say
I've ever heard.
that is crazy. And it's even crazier because if you look at the dude right now, he's got like a perfect smile.
He's had some help.
Yeah. It all makes sense now. His teeth all came out in that game and he had to get that taken care of. No, but it's always interesting hearing the stories of retired players and the things that they saw and went through in their time in the league, especially Cleveland Browns players, because obviously we're all, just enthralled with the history of the team and everything that's happened. But for most guys, they kind of get this whole second life after football. So can you kind of tell us what you're up to today? Are you working on any special projects?
Yeah, so I started a driving service. I was in the car business for about 12 years, and when I turned 60, there was a lot of things that changed in my thinking. So I wanted to always do something on my own. So I retired from the car business, and I got a Suburban, and I started driving people around, and then it grew. I got insurance. I got and one thing led to another, became a company, and now I'm pretty steady, having an opportunity to drive some, folks to the airport, to different places throughout the city, downtown to dinners and things of that nature. I've met some pretty interesting people. And like I said before, I am the uniform inspector along with Felix on the sideline on Sundays. And then I work for CBS. So WOIO, Channel 19 in Cleveland. I do the pre and post games with Josh Cribbs or Eric Metcalf. And I've been doing that probably for over 15 years. So I have seasonal jobs, and then I have things that I do that I've been doing for a long time. But the new thing is 88 Out the Gate. That's my company that I'm promoting these days, and that's what I do. Tomorrow morning, believe it or not, I got a 4:30 pickup in my neighborhood to take some folks to the airport. So I get up early and roll every day.
Wow.
Nice. So you're staying busy. So with that, do you have any time for community service, or is there anything on that front that you're involved with?
I don't think I've ever not been involved with any community I lived in when I was home in Virginia. But over the years, I've been on the board of Cerebral Palsy. I was on the board of Vakata. I was on the board of the National Board of Special Olympics. But I have been on the board now, Primary Purpose, which is a rehab facility, because I have a lot of love for folks that have gone through issues with drugs and alcohol, and it's a big part of my life and a part of my story. So I'm on a board there. And then I also been a volunteer at Lutheran Hospital for over 9 years. I go down there every Wednesday night and try to be supportive of folks that are struggling with life. I have been involved with Browns events that they ask us to help out with stuff. But all in all, I am, I'm just in love with this city and the things that it's been able to provide for me that I couldn't get back at home. And I try to do and be a responsible citizen of this Northeast Ohio area.
No, we really appreciate that. It's a fantastic thing that we're starting to learn about a lot of these Browns alumni is even players that after their time in Cleveland went to different teams. For some reason, there's something about Northeast Ohio, and you guys all seem to come back and you want to be part of this community and kind of put down some roots here after your playing career is over. So we really appreciate that. We really appreciate all the help that you guys give to Northeast Ohio. And so with that, I mean, I do, real quick, actually, before we get to the Browns fan cruise again, I want to ask you, how do you think the Cleveland Browns team looks this season so far?
Well, obviously we just dropped one yesterday that we probably should have won. We dropped one in Pittsburgh we probably should have won. And those are disappointing games because down the road you'll need both of those wins. I'm just sure that Baltimore and Cincinnati will start to play even better football than what they're playing now. Our team is getting better as a group. We're missing a stud quarterback, and he hasn't played like a stud yet, but we're hoping that comes to light. If he can play, rotator cuff is no joke. He may not play again this year. I don't know how that is. I can't determine how hurt he is, but we're going to hope that they get better. The defense is playing lights out. It's fun to watch. I'm hoping they play better than they did yesterday, more consistently. I don't think you can ask the P.J. Walker to carry the load for the next 10 games and expect to be in the playoffs.
That's fair. Reggie, is it difficult for you to watch this team since '99? Just knowing that you came from a time when this team was so good, so strong, so beloved by this community, and when winning was really kind of all you guys knew at the time. Has it been a struggle to watch this team in recent years, just not be able to put it all together?
It has. It has been tough, and I'll tell you why. So, we've had the Learners who own the organization, and Mr. Lerner, Al, who passed away, and then his son took over. I don't know if he was in love with football, but he didn't do enough to show that he cared enough about the football operations. And then you have Learners who's been here. They've been here quite a while now. And no disrespect to them, but the product that's been put on the field and the different coaches and GMs and quarterbacks, and there's never been any consistency. And finally, we think we've got a little something, then our stud quarterback gets hurt. So it is disappointing for the fans of Cleveland. And I say this to people that no matter what, I'm always going to love this city and the people that wear brown and orange. Those are the most important things. And it's unfortunate that we can't get a winning team, a consistent team. I'm not talking about a team that wins 9-10 games one year and then wins 4 the next year. I'm talking about a team that wins 10, 12 games, 13 games, and comes back and followed up the next year. And each year tries to elevate what they're doing as a team. And I can't say, who's at fault, because I think there's a lot of missing pieces that goes into the heart of an organization or the heart of a football team. I think they're away from the hard-nosed, just let's play football. We live in a blue-collar city. We don't need to worry about having sushi when we play football. We want a hot dog, a brew, and we want to knock people out. That's what we do in Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you just said. We say all the time that a lot of all the separate stuff is kind of fluff and distraction, but what we really want is just a good team.
Well, I think one of the tough things too has seemed, at least from my perspective, is that the Browns haven't done a great job of including guys like you. I know it was a struggle even to get like Jim Brown back in the building for a while, or Bernie back in the building, which is just unfortunate because you guys are so beloved by the community, and you guys all have this great experience and insight that would probably be helpful to an organization that's trying to win. So hopefully that's something that continues to change. But
I usually speak pretty passionately about the relationship between the alumni and the organization. So there's Kevin, who worked for the organization for a while and still kind of is associated with it. Jim, who came back. Paul Warfield for a little while. I think Hanford does some of the stuff, and Bernie was around, which are all guys who absolutely deserve an opportunity to represent brown and orange, because they are the folks that people can identify with throughout the time. But there hasn't been an influx. You have the old Browns, which went to Baltimore. And then when the new group came, the idea, and even the idea now, is that they created their own Cleveland Brown core. But again, I said this earlier, you got to have substance when you build something from the ground up.
Yeah, no, we get it. And we agree with you. We want that hard-nosed team, and we want them to get back to, what Cleveland football is all about. But I do want to bring this back around to the Cleveland Browns fan cruise. In the time that we get to share on the open ocean and a couple amazing stops along the way in March of 2024. So let's talk about some of the things that everyone should look forward to on the inaugural Browns fan cruise. Do you have, Reggie, an event or just something that might not be a particular event, but just something that you're looking forward to on the cruise?
Well, my wife and I, we cruise quite often. Actually, we take one every year, and we've been on Royal Caribbean cruises for the last 5 or 6 years. And I think the thing for me would be the enjoyment of the Q&A and the more personal Q&A questions with fans. I think that there's a lot of things about players that people want to ask us that are like you guys are asking me personal questions today. I think you'll get more personable with fans when you're in line to get ice cream, or you sit down to dinner with different folks and you get to meet people throughout your community that have been cheering for you for a long time. And they got a lot of games and stuff on the beach. And some of my friends got, they got knee replacements and hip replacements. And there probably won't be a whole lot of running around from us old guys. But I think just the fact of sitting around with Browns fans and communicating and having a good time and getting to know each other even more intensely should be fun for all of us.
So yeah, I mean it's like the commercial that the NFL has out right now with all the retired players where they're like, oh, we should come back, and then they're like, maybe not.
Right, yeah.
Emmitt Smith sleeping on the bench.
You know what though? If you can get me one of those $20 million deals, I'll slide in for a couple of plays for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all want one of those. But
absolutely, yeah. We've heard more, I guess, like easygoing activities. I think mentioned along the cruise, like karaoke, dominoes, those sorts of things. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
But no, there isn't a competition that's going on right now for Browns backers organizations out there. And kind of what they entail is the chapter with the most bookings will get an all expenses paid balcony cabin for 2 on the Browns fan cruise. The chapter with the highest members to bookings ratio also gets an all expenses paid ocean view cabin for 2. All members of the winning chapter will receive a specialty dining pass for 2 guests, and all members of the winning chapter will receive a Browns fan cruise commemorative Cleveland Browns autographed football. And so with that in mind, Reggie, do you have anything you want to say to Browns backers across the nation and across the world just to encourage them to get involved here?
Well, yeah, man, it's going to be a great time. I mean, you look at the list of the guys that's going to be there. You got some new guys, you got some old guys. So we're absolutely going to have fun. That's not a question. But I want to say, hey, guys, it is an absolute pleasure to have been a part of the Browns group for as long as I have. And these guys support us through thick and thin. So everybody sign up, get your tickets, get your flights all booked up. We're going to have a heck of a time going from the Bahamas to Jamaica. All the guys will be there. It should be fun. And the Browns backers, they're everywhere. So there's going to be a good contest too.
Hell yes. Well, hey, Reggie, we appreciate it. We can't wait to see you on the cruise in March. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have a good night. I appreciate it. I'm Reggie Langhorne, and you're listening to Burning Rivers Sportscast. Go Browns.